we want to make sure that what we're taking is actually getting into the body. And I think a lot of other questions that start to pop up into people's minds is, when do I take this supplement? Do I take it with food? Do I take it without? Is there anything that I should avoid while taking this? How would you sort of address these type of questions that might be popping up into consumers' minds?
Yeah, that's it's a difficult one to answer when we're just talking about supplements as a broad category, because it's going to change very much about what you're taking. So certain herbs or certain foods might be more energizing, some are more calming, so therefore some might be better earlier in the day, some might be better at bedtime. Some like oregano oil is really popular, especially these days.
Yes.
And because oregano oil is a great antibacterial, for instance, and you actually are going to absorb it better if you take it at the same time as something fatty. So we actually say, take it with a little coconut oil or a little olive oil, or, other herbs might be better on an empty stomach. So it's going to vary a great deal. And usually the bottle will tell you, it'll have a bit of a guideline as to, with food or away from food or between meals or at bedtime. So that can be a great way to use as a bit of a starting point. When I've been in practice and working with patients, and I found that realistically there's these ideal moments of when a specific herb or nutrient should be taken, but in reality we're busy. We got our lives, we've got work and kids and all sorts of things going on, and we forget. So it's like, oh yeah, I was supposed to take that at 2:00 because that's exactly 2 hours after my 12 o'clock lunch. In practicality, day-to-day terms, it's not really all that easy to do. So I usually just kind of say, look, if you're going to forget, don't worry about the ideal moment. Take it with your meals if that's the easiest time for you to remember. Take it when you first wake up or when you go to bed if that's the easiest time for you to remember. It's better to actually take it than not to take it,
Yes.
regardless of the ideal moment. So that's kind of how I run with it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I say too. I often say I'd rather it in than not at all. So
yeah.
just take it. So yeah, I totally agree, Dr. Orna. I guess my last question, especially as we're wrapping up, is what would be some last pieces of advice that people should have in the forefront of their mind, as they are navigating the supplement world?
So don't ever hesitate to ask questions. Use especially if you're kind of going in on your own, use the staff as a resource to ask some of these questions and explore, and stick to, I'm a big fan of superfoods, like things like greens powders or fish oils, or, just broad support type of supplements. Multivitamin for me is a great foundation. It ensures that you're not going to be lacking in any major way. So if you're kind of going in on your own, stick to those types of supplements that are kind of have a bit of a broader support for you. Don't necessarily go too much for the very targeted and very specific type of supplements without some good guidance or some good knowledge or some good support around why. You'd be surprised. We underestimate how much just simple, basic things like a B complex, a multivitamin, a greens powder, like these, especially when you take them consistently, will have a huge impact on your health, and often will address maybe you were just worried about arthritis, and yet like, oh my gosh, I've noticed that with my multivitamin and my greens powder, like my arthritis isn't so bad. Maybe I don't need to go for that special fancy formula that's going to address it. So just start with the basics, go there, and work with companies that it's okay if you're overwhelmed at first. If it's not a world that you know very well, it's completely understandable. Go in gently and get to know some of the companies. Obviously, I have a preference. I mean, every naturopath is going to have their go-tos, and it's not necessarily that one company is going to have the best of everything. We tend to learn we like certain formulas from certain companies, or we like certain types of products from certain companies, partly based on our knowledge, partly based on what we've seen. And personally, I mean, obviously, as you mentioned in my intro, I'm the medical advisor with Tallgrass. So what Tallgrass is a company that has several brands under it. So I work very intimately with brands like Mega Food and Innate Response and Botanica and Host Defense. If you like mushrooms, they're great. So obviously, like, I'm going to have a preference because I trust them. I know I'm working with them. I know where they're coming from. And so work with someone you trust, who's going to be able to help kind of point you and guide you in the direction. I'm not sure if I answered the question. I feel like I went on a tangent, but
no, I think you did awesome. And yeah, and I think, you know, one is I'm hoping that with this conversation, we've inspired people to really take a closer look at their supplements, you know, make informed decisions, and reach out to the people who can support their health, whether, you know, it's the staff at a health food store, whether it's your naturopath, whether it's your primary care provider, whether it's your chiropractor, your osteopath. Ask questions and, you know, get the information you need to understand why you're taking a certain supplement, or why this is a better choice for you.
Definitely. And even beyond which specific company or product you're taking, why are you taking it? And that's going to motivate you to keep taking it. And so understanding, and that's what, I mean, doctors as teachers, that's, you know, that's a big part of what naturopaths stand on. And so ask those questions. And if it's going to help you understand why you're doing these things, it'll be a huge support.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Orna. This was such a pleasure and informative talk. Like I said, I hope people are feeling inspired to take a closer look at their supplements, and maybe start to think about things that was never on their mind. If you liked our video, please leave us a like down below and subscribe to our channel so you can get notices about our up and coming fireside chats. Follow us on social media at health_Buddha. And otherwise, thank you so much again, Dr. Orna. This is such a pleasure.
Welcome.
And have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.